Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to CSE's Live Chat. I'm Sukanya Nair, and today we are going to take stock of the state of India's forest and wildlife in 2025. And for that, joining me today is Himanshu. He's a journalist with Down to Earth and who has been tracking wildlife and forest closely for over a few years now.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Himanshu, for joining. Before we start discussing the big picture, I would like to really start by discussing something that everybody's talking about right now, and that is Aravali's. What is really happening on that? Why is Aravali's in the spotlight right now, and what are the major developments in the case?
Yeah, just yesterday, the Supreme Court stayed its own direction that it had given in on November 28th. So that was about the uniform definition of the Aravallis that the center was supposed to come up with, central
Mhm.
government, I mean. And what it accepted was that 100-meter elevation and 3-degree slope, and of course with some local relief of 100 meters that it had considered that would describe it as a hill. So that definition created a lot of ambiguity among people living around Aravallis and also conservationists and environmentalists, uh, sparking fear that, like almost 90% of the Aravallis will be gone, and there were some figures stating that. And also, like we did analysis at the Down to Earth, and we found that nearly 50% of Aravallis would be gone if this definition is applied.
Okay.
So that is the reason. And then, of course, there are multiple repercussions that, no one knew that how many hills would be excluded, how many hills would be included, where the mining would take place and how much, and what would the sustainable mining mean. So all of these speculations and all of this fear of loss to biodiversity, and also critical corridor that is for animals, and also water recharge, watershed. So all of this sparked controversy, but now the court has asked to form a committee,
Okay.
high powered power committee that would look into these matters and bring out a assessment which should be independent, and so then it can review and then take a final decision. So then the court will come, has called the government again on 21st Jan
Okay.
next year. So I think we'll get some more update on that.
So good news until
Yes,
then.
hopefully, yes.
So there was a recent study by IIT which basically said that there is an apparent increase in the green car, but that does not necessarily mean that the state of forest, or we are still it still means that the forests are growing weaker. What does that really mean?
So this study was done by researchers from IIT Kharagpur,
Okay.
and so what they found was that India may be gaining tree cover, so that means that it is greening, but the forests per se are getting weaker. So the health of the forest is declining.
Mm.
So this is mainly because of climate change, warming earth, and then like reducing the ability of this forest to absorb carbon. So in its analysis, it's found that on an average, the carbon intake, yeah, if I'm saying, sorry, uptake
Sequestration.
fell by
Okay.
5% of this forest, and it was most in, like the maximum was in northeast and eastern Himalayas, which was about like 12, eastern Ghats, sorry, which was about 12%. So which is quite significant. So this shows that like forests which are traditionally known as being carbon sinks
Mhm.
are turning into carbon source. So this was also first kind of a study that was done in India.
Okay. So now moving from forest to wildlife, one major study that came out was from WII, which basically said that vultures have disappeared from 72% of the historical nesting sites. Should we be worried about it?
Yes, because vultures play a very important role in giving ecosystem services, such as like feeding on dead carcasses, so that prevents spread of diseases, and also um reduces greenhouse emissions,
Right.
and also decaying of matter. So it plays multiple roles. So I also have some numbers about
Okay.
like the 72% figure. So it said that like the 425 historical sites, vulture nesting sites that were known to WII. So that fell. So between 2023 and 2025 that the study happened,
Mhm.
that those numbers dropped to 120 nesting sites, and
Okay.
also researchers found 93 new locations there, so that brings the number to 210. But these new nesting sites were primarily in Madhya Pradesh, central India, and in protected areas. So, which shows that given an undisturbed habitat or less disturbance, vultures can grow. And also, they found that the food availability, such as like cow carcasses and other food that is required, was more available to them. Yeah.
So another study which got a lot of interest was on invasive plant species and how their spread has almost doubled, especially in ecologically sensitive regions like the Western Ghats, Northeast, and Himalayas. What does that study really talk about?
Yeah, so this study is also very concerning, and it speaks about the health of our forest. So it revealed that nearly 15,500 square kilometer natural areas. So I have some figures here that are invaded by at least one new species.
Okay.
So the researchers have identified 11 invasive species
Okay.
that are present in India and have established themselves. So that out of the 15,500, nearly 6,000 is invaded in tiger reserves or protected areas where tigers reside, and the remaining 11,000, 1,200 is in like herbivore, agriculture, forage area. So that is the kind of rate at which they are increasing. This is annual number, so this is, I think, quite significant. But it's not that the government is not aware. Many things have been done about it to mitigate it. So the study also says that since 1960, India has spent almost more than $127 billion. So that amounts to like 8,30,000 crore rupees in the past 60 years to mitigate this invasive species crisis or issues that leads to habitat fragmentation and availability of food to wildlife, all those things. So, but it's also that India doesn't have a strong policy
Okay.
for it. So they've also called out for an urgent need to bring out a policy to that will help mitigate this invasive species crisis.
Okay. My final question uh, is from your recent field visit. You had recently been to Uttarakhand and Bhopal. I mean, these are two sites which are known for rising human wildlife conflict. What have your observations been?
So what visits to this field visits, as we call it, uh, has revealed that basically farmers, this is mainly related to farmers
Okay.
more than human wildlife conflict. So farmers are suffering because of crop raiding. So there are like many wildlife such as like deer, nilgai, uh, wild boar, peacocks. So that come during the day or during evening hours, and then they just forage on the crops that are being grown. So many farmers have also stopped growing many crops. That is what we have found.
Okay.
And this losses can extend up to 30 to 40% at
Okay.
one go, which is quite significant. So this eat up mostly on the profits of
Right.
these farmers. So then that becomes less to sustain.
Okay. So, all the stories so far have sort of painted a very grim picture. What do you think can be done, or what is the way forward in these scenarios?
So recently, given Bhopal in Shajpur district and around many villages. I forgot the number, but I
Okay.
think like 6, 7 villages. So the forest department carried out an exercise, which was also first of its kind. So they got a team from South Africa,
Mm.
so who herded this deer. So around more than 900 deer and nilgai were translocated from these revenue areas where deer and nilgai are, destroying crops, as farmers say, and they've been moved to Kuno National Park, Noradev Wildlife Sanctuary, and Gandhi Sagar also, I think.
Okay.
So, but what farmers told me was that this is just like good for short term because like immediately a lot of wildlife is gone, so that gives them a relief and the damage is less. But they also said that they need a long term
Right. Plan coming.
policy or plan that needs to be in place because this exercise then would have to be done in every few months. So we need a long-term solution. This could be just a temporary relief, but yes.
All right. I think that's all for today. Thank you so much, Himanshu, for joining me today. And almost it's the end of the year, but we do have one final live chat tomorrow, and that is going to be the state of energy in 2025. So do watch, and until then, bye bye. Thank you once again.